everyone, a few days ago, I met someone who earns 30 million, one a month in insurance, and he said he used to be an officer. He was a military officer and is the same age as me, 38 years old. But I was really curious about how he could make 30 million, one a month in insurance. And since he was making so much money, the apartment parking lot was already filled with Porsches and Benzes. The level was just on a whole different scale. The house price was already over 2 billion won and so on. So I was really curious, like, how on earth does he make 30 million won a month? I wanted to find out. So I decided to go and listen. It was our first meeting, and he said something like this. Of course, he would also listen to my story and so on. I started Atomy in 2017, and he started in 2016. But when people meet someone, when you meet someone for the first time, you have to look at the whole environment and the bigger picture. For example, I went to see his house, right? Since we had the meeting at his house, but I noticed there were Legos stacked everywhere. So I was like, huh? You like Legos? And it turned out he was a Lego maniac. So I realized, oh, when he gets into something, he really gets hooked. I figured that out. So when you meet someone, you need to quickly get a sense of their personality and overall character. It's not about just saying what you want to say. If you want someone to be attracted to you, you need to quickly and accurately assess what makes them appealing, what their charms are. That way, if they think you're interested in them, they'll start talking a lot. So because he's a Lego enthusiast, he wants to show off this and that. And since he's been in insurance for exactly 11 years, you can tell he has the drive to really push forward once he gets hooked on something. And as we talked about MBTI, it turned out he's very extroverted. And when it comes to insurance, he always says, thank you. He said he was good at just walking up to anyone and saying things like, could I have some coffee, please? He's full of energy and doesn't feel any pressure or burden when it comes to cold contacting people. So I quickly figured out the reasons for this person's success and their personality traits. But what was another thing we had in common? When I asked why he did well in his adventure, he said it was because he could see his own growth. When a new partner joined, he would show them the data of his own progress, showing a graph that kept trending upward. Naturally, there would be people who wanted to follow him, and that's how he was making that much money. He told me the same thing. He said, you're running your business just like I am. When I made my decision in 2017, I showed him the steady growth in my sales and the profits I had earned, and he was really surprised. If he's been doing this for 11 years, just imagine how many people from various multi-level marketing companies must have approached him. But he said that not a single person had ever shown him their data as thoroughly as I did. Then he said, wow, so you make a living from multi-level marketing. It really doesn't feel like multi-level marketing at all. That's what he told me. But what was different there was that I said this. The boss's wife also mentioned something to me. She said, Ma, my husband basically runs a call center. He earns that much, but he gets an overwhelming number of consultation calls all day long. So, of course, it must give him a headache. But then I said this. As time goes by, I don't have the stress of taking endless calls like a call center, which is such a headache. And then this person said, there must be something about Atomy that really attracts people, right? There were exactly two things. So, there's always something that really grabs the other person's attention. You need to know what's difficult for that person. Because even if their own business is going well, for them to find this attractive, you have to know what's hard for them that isn't an issue here, or what's better here, then this will really stand out as a merit. But among those, what is one of them? When I say a multi-line call center, it basically means there are a ton of phone consultations. That means there's a lot of stress for people. Even though they make a lot of money, because there are always so many problems with people, it gives them a headache. So then, if they find out that Atomy isn't like that, wouldn't they get interested? That was it. And as I was talking with this person, what he said he envied about me was that he also had a mentor, but since he became more capable than his mentor, he went independent and started his own business. But now he doesn't have a mentor anymore. So now he has to lead all these people by himself. Imagine how much stress he must be under mentally. He doesn't have anyone to support him mentally. So he told me that he has a mental coach now. But in my case, I have a mentor and that person was successful. And when I did exactly as he told me, I made money. So I only saw a smooth path ahead of me. He was really envious of that at the time, having a mentor. It's really hard for anyone to do something alone, isn't it? But when someone has succeeded and has a clear direction, how enviable is that? So now I realized that I could also take on the role of a mentor. And that's when I felt the appeal of these two things. So whenever I meet someone, should I say I have ambiguous thoughts about them? I don't do that. In the end, it's about that person's pain point. If this spot itches, you need to scratch here. But what happens if you keep scratching somewhere else? The important thing is, if this spot itches, is it okay to scratch somewhere else? There's no comfort in that, right? What role do we need to play well? If this spot itches, we need to provide a clear answer by scratching right there. So in June, actually, the original plan was not to meet with him, but only with his wife. But he wanted to see me, so he cleared his schedule for that day and met with me. It actually worked out even better. I was curious too, since I had heard a lot about him, and as expected, there was a reason why successful people are successful. So there was nothing I needed to teach this person. All I had to do was point them in the right direction, and as soon as I did, they understood. In June, they decided to leave their baby with someone, and both of them, as a couple, planned to attend the seminar. So, everyone, if they're willing to make that much time and such a decision, it means they've already made up their minds. It will work. She said, honestly, if she could just wrap up her own affairs and focus solely on this, she's confident she could do really well. But since she's been doing it for so long, it's not easy to make a complete switch. I've told you before, right? It's not easy to do both insurance and Atomy at the same time. Why? Because both are things people tend to avoid. And if you're doing both, can people really trust you? There's no trust. If I suddenly said to the people here, hey, do you want to try this too? Would those people really follow me? No, they wouldn't. People have followed me because I've consistently stuck to one thing, and that's why I completely understand how she feels. So, what he decided was it's not something I should do. My wife should be the one to do it. That's why he changed the ownership to her name. So, in order to play the role of a mentor like this, you also need to meet a lot of people. That way, you can pick up on things like, oh, this would be good for this person, and that would be good for that person. That's how you can identify those key points. I've called that intuition.